Okay, I think that I have got it going. Yeah, I got a little confused and I think I figured it out again. But hello, I am Katie Santora. I'm the winemaker for Chehalem Winery. Welcome to our second ever live tasting. This is really exciting because today is the most special day because it's Earth Day! Happy Earth Day! I was gonna try and get the nerve and sing a little Earth Day birthday song, but I don't think I'm quite there yet. Maybe after tasting the wines I can do it. Anyway, why we wanted to do this today is that Earth Day is so special. Really, when I was thinking about it, I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the Earth. Hello from Hawaii. That is awesome. Thank you for joining. The earth basically provides all the nutrients for the vines that grow the grapes that we make into wines. So how amazing is it that we get to be here today on the 50th anniversary of Earth Day? Personally, what I like to try and do in my day-to-day life of trying to support the earth is recycle. We live in a great state of Oregon that is so supportive of all recycling, whether it's compost or plastic, paper, glass, all of it. So we really try and do our part in our household. We also try and reuse as much as we can, which includes, not using once disposable plastics, anything you can use to try and or find to reuse again with plastic is so beneficial. So yeah, the other thing that's kind of amazing, a silver lining during these quarantine times, is that the earth is responding so positively. I mean, if you read some of the articles or you look into the states and countries that have crazy emissions, when you go now that people are staying at home, the emissions and everything, pollution and whatnot, is going way down. So it's really exciting. So the earth is responding to what we're doing, and that is a positive thing. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay, so today our theme of the tasting is Chehalem and what we do as a company to be able to support the earth and whatnot. Chehalem does a couple things. We have solar panels on one of our vineyards, which offsets our electricity use in the winery. At the tasting room, if you buy our 1 liter growlers, we actually have kegged wine that then you can go in and purchase a 1 liter for the same price as a $7.50. It is very specific to a few wines, but it is a great way to reuse and recycle. The other thing is that we are live certified, which means low impact enology and viticulture, and we're also B Corp. I think the benefit of both of these is really that we get to be on top of everything that's coming. These two organizations really keep us on top and pursuing to get better and better at what we're doing. So they're really important to be a part of. Any questions with those? If not, we can go into the tasting of our 3 wines. If just in case someone has bought the bundle before the tasting, the order that I'm going to taste them in today is the Gruner, the Chardonnay, and then the Pinot Noir. So if you did purchase the bundle, thank you so much. And if after this tasting you would like to purchase these 3 wines, they are available on the website or any social media outlet that we have. Okay, so let's start with the Gruner. We are drinking the 2018 Gruner Veltliner. This grape is originally from Alsace. And the grapes that we get in Oregon are from the Ribbon Ridge AVA, which is a really small AVA. So what we did with this wine, it was fermented in 3 different vessels. I think I touched on it last time I was live, but we fermented it. We got an egg, which is a cement vessel, and it literally is in the shape of the egg. They say that in a fermentation, it rotates the lees in a different way, that it gives it a little more richness, but also a little more mineralisticness to the wine. So we did a third of it in an egg, a third in neutral oak, and a third in stainless steel. We do the triple ferment to give different layers to the wine. So I really believe in different fermentation vessels and putting them together, and then it just gives a little more complexity and density without, yeah, it just changes the wine in a different way that I can't really explain, but I see it a lot of the time. So let's taste. I think I chilled mine down a little much. It's hard to get much out of it if you chill it too much. But there's really nice like some white pollen that I get from this one. Some nice lemon lime. It's really spring feeling, which is perfect for this day, obviously. And tasting it, like a lot of the Alsatian wines, they have this great acidic breath, but because we do the egg and the barrel with it, it gives it a little more texture. Not a ton of texture. It's hard to sometimes say that with a white wine because white wines you don't think have texture, but if you start drinking them, you'll see that different white wines have some intensity to them. So you get a little mineralisticness with this, a little, it's in the mid palate, just a little like I would explain it as not sandpaper, but almost just a roughness, but it's a delicate roughness. Yeah, it's really balanced. There's a tiny bit of sweetness with it, but it's balanced really well with the acid. I saw someone ask, where do you get your barrels from? All of our barrels are from France. The fun thing about white fermentations is that we only buy maybe like 4 or 5 new barrels a year with our white program. And as the barrels get older, they impart less and less oak on the wine and just add a different complexity of the vessel that it's in. So there's more air that gets into the wine because of the porousness of wood. That just gives it a little bit of texture, kind of that texture that I was talking about, a little bit of roughness, but like soft, delicate roughness, where if it was a new barrel and new toast, it would almost overpower, at least with Gruner, the fruit that's in it. Gruner is an amazing varietal because it goes well with really, really awkward things like asparagus, or, you know, salmon's not awkward, but it works really well with like rich fish. It's just, I think it's delicious, and I'm so lucky that we get to work with it. So if there are any questions on the Gruner, I'm happy to answer them, or we will go to our next wine. What do we do with the old barrels? Great question, Mom. Well, if you're in my family, some of the old barrels that we can't use anymore, I cut them in half and truck them to Utah so my dad can plant vegetables in. So another great thing on Earth Day. But the old barrels, we do try and sell them to people that want to have planter boxes or anything like that. So again, reuse if you can. I have a few. So something I forgot to mention, if you get this bundle or during the month of April, it's Earth Month. Hey, Melissa. And we have these neckers that have wildflower seeds in them. So at the end of this, I'm going to plant this in my garden, but in one of our old barrels. So kind of comes full circle. So let's try the next wine. The next wine we will try is the 2017 Reserve Chardonnay. It's the first wine that has come out with these new Reserve labels, which I just am obsessed with and think that they are beautiful. Our marketing team just did such a great job. So I'll pour this. I just saw another question. How many times do you use a barrel before you consider it neutral? That's a great question. So I think it depends on the winemaker, how many times you use it before it becomes neutral. I like to think it's the fourth time you use it where it's really not imparting any oak aspect to the wine. So I would say the fourth time you use it, which it depends on how long the wine is aged in the barrel and whatnot. But yay, we have my cousin Kelsey drinking the Chardonnay with us from Alaska. So thank you, Kelsey. So a few things about this Chardonnay. This is from the Dundee Hills Stoller Vineyard. It's one of our estate vineyards, and I personally think one of just the most delicious places for Chardonnay in Oregon. What I feel very excited about this wine is that we did something different in 2017 than we have done in the other years. So things that are very similar is that this is barrel fermented. So the fruit comes in, we press it, and it goes to barrel. We ferment it in barrel. So there is some new oak and Chardonnay because it can handle a little bit of toast. And then a couple years of barrels that have been used, and then neutral oak. When we go through tasting it, we also put this wine through partial malolactic fermentation. We taste every barrel, and depending on the year and the wine, we choose what barrels to go through malolactic fermentation, which basically means if the acid is feeling a little disjointed or sharp, we will push that through malolactic fermentation to give it a bit more roundness and just more balance to it. So for example, in 2017, the acid was really green. It was I don't even really know how to explain it, but I remember going through the vineyards, tasting, waiting for the flavor to come, especially in the Chardonnay, and it just was staying very, very sharp. So just had this green apple acid retention. Because of that, we pushed more barrels in the 2017 through malolactic than usual. The thing that we did differently in this one was that we, in the past, usually blended it and racked it before the next vintage. So it was aged in barrel for 10 months and then bottled. This, in 2017, we decided to blend it all together with the lees. So lees are, once it's fermented in barrel, all this stuff that is happening, the yeast holes, like the yeast cells and everything, fall to the bottom of the barrel, and it ages on that. It can give it a little bit more creaminess, but we decided to rack all the barrel with the lees into a tank to help just integrate all of it together for a couple months before we bottled it. So we over vintaged this blend, and then we bottled it in January. So kind of fun. I love how it turned out. Let's see. What about the 2017 best barrel? Was it full mallow? I can't remember. I'm so sorry, but that was one barrel, and I'm assuming that it was not full mallow, but I can check. Especially with the new oak on our best barrel programs, you don't necessarily need to go full malolactic because there already is that richness in the oak in general. So let's taste this wine. So, like I mentioned, the 2017 had a very rich acid presence. But why I love this is that the oak presence from the new oak barrels that it was in is just integrated very well into the fruit. So it's nice stone fruit. There's a little brioche. You get a little bit of that vanilla char, but it's balanced nicely with it, the fruit that's there. And then on the palate, you get a little of that toast, but then that acid really like rounds it out. What I think letting it age over vintage is that it just really integrated all the fruit together, and it becomes more seamless. Where when then it is bottled, it's ready for you guys sooner, which is really exciting. I got a question about if the weather gets hotter as predicted in the world with climate change. Great question, since it's Earth Day. And what grape varietals would flourish? You know, at this point with climate change in Oregon, we're seeing more extremes. I mean, as you can see today, last time I was talking to you about a week and a half ago, it was beautiful. And today it's a little more cloudy. It's been rainy all day, and the next 5 to 7 days it's still rainy, which is typical in Oregon. But what we are seeing is more extremes. So it does get really hot, but then it's getting really cold and very rainy, where in the past it was a lot more just consistent rain through, you know, most of spring and the winter and whatnot. So at this point, we don't have to worry about changing what we've planted. I feel very confident and strong of what we are planting, and plant is still going to continue to do a great job. But you know, if we're 50 years down the road and it just continues to get hotter and hotter and hotter, I mean, there are a lot more varietals that do a lot better with like the heavier or the sun in general, like Cab, Syrah, all that stuff. All right, any questions on our Chardonnay, or we can go to the Pinot Noir? All right, here we go. So our first Pinot Noir that I've tasted with you guys, this is our 2017 Corral Creek Pinot Noir. Okay, so I'm gonna pour it, but there were a couple things that I wanted to talk about with this wine. One, it's from the Chehalem Mountains AVA. So all three of these wines are from different AVAs in Oregon, which is really exciting. Chehalem, we get the opportunity to work with wines in different AVAs, which I love. But also, I haven't talked about Pinot before. So when I was talking to my partner, Christian, about what I should talk about with you guys today, he really talked about, like, where does Pinot Noir color come from, or the texture. So to really back it up, and this might be really simple for people, but some people don't know. When you pick Pinot Noir, if you were to squish it in your hand, it actually would be clear fruit, or clear juice. So how we get this color or the texture is that when it comes into the winery and we get it off the stems, we ferment it on the skins to give it the color, but also the structure. So one thing that I find so important, probably for red wines, the most important thing that I see when the fruit is there with you is actually tasting the fermentations every single day. So with red wine, as it's finishing ferment and the sugars are gone and the alcohol is increased, it starts degrading the skins a little bit more, which gives it structure. And what I'm looking for, and our team are looking for, is that perfect balance where the structure isn't too on front of the palate, it's not too on back of the palate, that it's this seamless taste. And when you taste this, or any red wine in general, you really should start paying attention to like the feel on the palate, because for me, that is what gives a wine energy and essence in a way. So we go through every fermentation that we have in the winery, and we taste the structure literally every day to decide, once it's finished fermenting, if we want to press it because the structure is exactly there, or if we want to leave it another day and see if it can really build up. The structure that I'm talking about is tannins. So when you hear someone talk about like a tannic wine or the tannins on this wine, it is that texture. I have come to find that a lot of people talk about structure in so many different ways. You know, people are able to be very literal and talk about what type of structure they're feeling on their tongue, or, you know, it becomes a little bit more visceral and it becomes like a color thing. I know it's crazy, but it's so true. And so to let yourself be open to the fact that you might taste things in a very different way than anyone else tastes them, and to just be open, like, oh, if you're tasting it and like that structure seems a little darker to you, what is that? And if it feels a little bit more brighter and lighter, what is that to you as well? So, yeah, I just find that very important with red wine in general. Okay, so let's taste this wine. So Corral Creek, this is where this is from. I think I said that. Corral Creek Pinot Noir is one of our estate vineyards, but also it is where the winery is at. It was planted in 1982 by a couple of doctors, and it's own rooted and just beautiful. It's kind of a field blend of Pommard and Wädenswil. But what we find typically with this wine is that it is really bright, nice red fruit. It has delicate aromatics, but intensity. It is what people don't like to say, but I think our like most feminine wine. So on this one, I get a lot of rose petal. It's really opened up since it's been in bottles, so this is a great time to try it if you have it with you right now. Rose petal, cranberry, raspberry. Nice lift of a little bit of new oak that's with it. We put about 35% new oak, depending on the vintage, in our single vineyard wines. And then on the palate, what I love about this wine is that it's juicy, but also in the 2017, we gave a little more new oak to it because the pH was a little bit higher, and it just has this like roundness that in the past it hasn't had. So it's really smooth right now. I'm enjoying it. I haven't tasted this for a while, and actually got an email this week about some sommeliers tasting it in San Francisco and said great things about it. So I felt very, very grateful and happy about that. So it's fun to taste it with you guys. All right, are there any questions on the Pinot Noir or any of the wines that we've tasted today? I'll just give a second and maybe just touch again on the fact that all these wines are Live certified and B Corp certified, which is just, I feel very grateful to be a part of a company that's supports that and wants to be a part of that. As we go forward, we want to continue doing that in all of our vineyards. So it is such a great company to be a part of. I just got a question about a pairing with the Pinot Noir. You know, Pinot Noir pairs with a lot of great things. I know that hi Anna, happy Earth Day to you too. I hope Canada is amazing. Okay, so a couple of pairings with the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir. So the Chardonnay you could pair with like, I don't know. I like to say that you can pair a lot of the wines that you want to drink with most anything that you want to eat. But the Chardonnay, since there's a little more acid with it, I think it can handle a little more fat food. So like a creamy pasta, a fatty salmon, all those things would work really well with the acid, but also the oak presence. With the Pinot Noir, I feel like pork would go really well. Like pork belly. I know that we don't really make that at home, so that's so hard and not really fair. But something that I would make at home, especially during these quarantine times, would be, let's see, I'd probably we would make like a steak, a delicious steak, and not dress it too much with heavy stuff, but like a really clean, lean steak. Yeah, we cook pretty clean over here. So, okay, so to close, these 3 wines are available as a bundle. If you want to get them in the next little while, if you're interested in watching this again with me and tasting with them, that's available. If you buy them as a bundle, you will receive one of these wildflower neckers. They also will be sent to you randomly, or will be out in the marketplace randomly. It is also free shipping month for Chehalem, or shipping is on us. So if you order 12 bottles, you get shipping on us. But if you order 6 to 11, it's about $10. My mom is asking where my son is, which I know this is a crazy thing, but it's his 8-month birthday today. He's actually on a drive with my partner, his dad, because he's been pretty fussy today. But that's okay, because I get to be with you guys. So I am going to plant a couple of these, which means Chehalem will be planting a couple trees, which I'm so happy about. And this was an excuse for me to get my garden that I'm going to be showing you guys ready. So it's not so embarrassing. So let me move this and I'll plant these and we will be done unless there's any other questions. Hi, Stacy. Good to see you. All right. So as you can see, we're going to be planting in this barrel. This is a barrel from Chehalem, like I was talking to you guys. And we're just going to plant a couple of these neckers. I don't need a shovel though. I was doing this earlier. My nails are already super dirty. Then we'll just water them. And I can't wait to see what the wildflowers will do. I love flowers so much, so I'm really, really excited. I just got a message that said the Corral Creek Pinot is great with sweet chili sauce, stir-fry veggies, or pork. So that's amazing. Yeah, unless there are any questions, I think that is my time here, and it's great to again see you guys and do this and all that stuff. Stay healthy and happy out there, and we're all just getting through this one day at a time. But for today, let's be really grateful for the earth that we live on and everything that it provides for us. So thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.